In 1985, a builder and master tiler, Sam Scardino, was frustrated with the ongoing dampness issues in buildings affecting the homes and lives of people. This frustration led to Sam innovating his own solution to protect buildings from dampness damage: a non-toxic, solvent-free waterproofing membrane. The technology was way ahead of its time in 1985 and drew a lot of interest within the industry. In 1990, Sam handed the reins to his son Phil to develop the vision into a fully fledged Australian manufacturing company. Phil was very new to the industry.
This guy rocked up and he said, "Look, I've just been told you guys have got this solvent-free bitumen technology, waterproof membrane." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, I want to buy a container." And I just went out the back door and came back with a bucket. And he goes, "Nah, a shipping container." I didn't know what a bloody container was at the time.
So we're talking about a little SA company up against some real brands that had 5,000 warehouses globally, manufacturing and coming into Australia, like that sort of thing.
And then I went to Singapore with this mob that bought this container. And I remember seeing the crane taking up pallets of our product onto the roof. And I just had that moment thinking, shit, like, that's the stuff we make back in this bloody shed, back in Adelaide. It was now about, okay, let's make this brand something special. I was in Sydney one day, I was on a building site. I couldn't say that the product that was in that bucket was mine because it was in a different label. It was from a European company, but our product was right next to it. This trader's going, "Phil, your product's good, but you've got to get to this European quality. You can see, look at the texture and I'm going, "Yeah, mate, no, you're right." But it was exactly our product. I had that same experience with the Royal Adelaide Hospital. We were too small at the time to be the product of choice, but there was a big German brand that won the tender, but big German brand came to us to make the product. And I used to go from this site back to Sydney, back to the Royal Adelaide Hospital. But this German brand, because they had the name and the power, won that contract. And so we got the supply, but we didn't get the brand on it. So I tell this story now. At the time I couldn't. But that really was where perception is. And it also taught me that brand sometimes builds trust.
Phil grew the business to a manufacturing site called Axis Manufacture. The company produced high-quality, trusted waterproofing products for both his own Gripset brand and the brands of other private and corporate companies as a white label supplier. In the midst of COVID's impact on Australia, Phil became alarmed to learn over 20 million wet wipe packs were used in Australian hospitals during the pandemic. None of them were manufactured in Australia.
If Dedo ever had wipes when I was a younger parent, I would have bought those as nappy wipes because you trust the brand. How are we going to build the trust into that?
Well, I think the trust is immediately built when they know that we're TJ approved, but again, the customer would have to know what that means.
So even our own products, myself at home, you hear the names Dettol and you'll hear PinoClean and some of these other big brands. So they've been marketed heavily, but not where it's made. No one knows what you're getting.
During COVID, Australia became vulnerable, having to rely on overseas companies to provide basic hygiene products. And 96% of what they are bringing in is made of plastic. People think they are paper.
There's other products out there that don't even call out what the active is. There's a gym spray product, supposedly the best thing since sliced bread, and it talks about eucalyptus, and it talks about killing everything within 30 seconds, but it doesn't actually say what's in there. So, it could be potentially dangerous as well to use. In fact, customers are actually referring to that as saying, well, this product says, it kills within 30 seconds. What's going on with your product?
It's amazing what people believe on a label.
Yeah.
When a wet wipe goes to landfill, it breaks down into microplastics after 100 to 200 years. It never leaves this earth.
We're coming in near Johnny on the block, and we are still battling. This is a David and Goliath.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to beat that.
Being so reliant on overseas manufacturers, Phil grasped the future threat to Australia's sovereign health. He decided to step away from the business he helped build with his father from 30 years ago. He now has the vision to become an Australian manufacturer for the health of the planet.
Getting the old out and the new in is almost the physicality of what the emotions are in the business. That's the moment when we know the shift is real.
Yeah, so we've still got 2 mixing tanks to go. We'll move 1 tank outside, we'll store 1 tank, process what we need to do. The last of the legacy of the old plant as we transform and make it into new.
It makes it real now.
Now we see the physical hard facts that there is a complete shutdown of almost everything, almost to a bare shell, and then get it to a vindication of exactly what Phil's grand plan is.
August 2021, the Gripset plant decommission is now complete.
In 2012, I was in Germany. I'd come across this technology on hypochlorous acid, and just a mind-blowing technology that had been around for centuries. They were using it for stopping Legionella in hotels, and they would dose it into the water, and it would run through the line and kill all the biofilms. And the thing was, it was chemical-free. It was made from salt. Then when I spoke to the guy about the technology, I'd found out that it could be made in a concentrate, and that concentrate was able to kill bacteria. But the beauty of it, when you smelt it, it smelled like hypochlorite, chlorine, but when you sprayed it onto a surface, it killed everything and it turned back to salt water. I inquired a bit more and then bought this machine, brought it back to Australia, and we started to produce this product, and I wanted to bottle it and sell it because I thought, okay, this is technology that it's got nothing to do with waterproofing at the moment, but there's a need for it because all the other things that are being used on food, sprays, etc., are fairly toxic. Started to work on that, and I was thinking, okay, what are we going to call this? I was just playing around with brands, and I just came up with Clean Life. I registered that brand back in 2012-13, and we were selling it into some smaller places. I then had this phone call from a guy, Dirk Berlin, from the state government. It was in the height of COVID, and he said to me, look, you're on the register for alcohol. Can you make sanitiser that you could sell into secondary medical areas, and aged care and medical centres, because there's just no product out there. They can't get alcohol wipes. It's that desperate that there's nurses using the alcohol blood swatches that would normally be, you'd rub on your arm before a blood test to wipe down rails. And I'm thinking, surely we're not that bad. He said, no one makes it in Australia. And I remember this clearly. I walked out of my office and I went to one of my employees' workstations because she had a canister of isopropyl alcohol wipes that they use to wipe down keyboards and computers. Pulled that wipe out and I thought, shit, this is the Gripset RF fabric.
The RF fabric was embedded into the Gripset waterproof coatings to reinforce the strength of the dried membrane for construction applications.
Gavin was still here and I said, can you just give me the stock count on how much fabric we've got? And he came back 15 minutes later, and when I did the calculations, we had 200,000 square metres of it. And I'm thinking, fuck, we could make wipes for these guys.
To qualify as a supplier to the SA government, medical products must be approved by the Therapeutic Goods Administration, TGA.
Within a week, I was talking to SA Health, and I started to really get involved in these conversations. And I was having conversations with people that I'd never dealt with in business before, doctors, health officials. And the head of procurement was saying to me, she said, look, you can get TGA listed, you don't need to be the TGA plant. But here we were manufacturing waterproof membranes. And I'm thinking, how the hell are we going to make TGA listed products here with polymers and powders? And it's just a different ballgame. But when I looked into it deeper, then I found that there were no soft pack wet wipes manufactured in Australia. And I'm thinking, this can't be right. So I'm going to any supermarket and I'm just pulling out aisle after aisle every weekend, and I'm made in China. PRC, I think Dettol had some that were made in Poland, and I'm going, surely not. Find me one that's made in Australia, please.
And at that stage, it had been pretty full on. Clean Life had really started to take off.
At one stage, I'm thinking, I'm biting off more than I can chew here. This is hard, no one's doing it. Phil, maybe there's a reason why no one's doing it.
I think it's part of that higher purpose as well. He saw that there was an opportunity, but also almost an injustice that Australian manufacturers aren't being used for things like this.
It sounds crazy, but I was working in my home office one night and I had mapped this business plan out, and I literally heard this voice in my ear going, you can do this. And I'm thinking, this is not my normal voice saying you can do this. And then I had about a 48-hour period where I was just literally, I think I was just in a ball. I was overcome, and I was lying in bed with my back to the door, and I felt this on my shoulder, and I thought it was my son, and I turned around and the door was closed, and I'm thinking, fuck, is that my dad or is that someone giving me some sort of message here that you've got to push, you've got to pursue this to the point that, you know, it's still a project in the making because we're here waiting for machines and this plant's being transitioned and, yeah.
To cope with the enormous task, Phil has partnered with another environmentally focused entrepreneur. Corey White was also concerned with the volume of waste with plastic wet wipes in Australia. Australia uses over 25 million kilograms of plastic wet wipes each year, over 30 times that of straws. Phil and Corey have joined forces with the mission to convert wet wipes to plastic-free and compostable in Australia with their enterprise, The Hygiene Co.
I think one of the real areas where Phil and I bump off of each other is we both operate without fear. In terms of the way Phil operates, he's very much a marketing brain, as am I.
This is where everything comes down to marketing. Protecting lives with safe, clean, quality hygiene. That is our mantra. We could become the first real Australian-made brand versus the dead holes of the world and all the other imported stuff.
The opportunity to create a sustainable product where everyone else was plastic was just huge.
Yeah, so I mean, we're starting off with a couple of key products, both in a surface spray and a disinfectant wipe, to get them listed as soon as possible.
The pain of TJ getting there is more of an impatience piece, but knowing that we've met all the compliance pieces gives me a lot of confidence that we can go out there and we can mix it with the best of them.
Yeah, we must be a manufacturer here with our own brands.
Yeah, I mean, the vision now is we've got the Hygiene Co as the manufacturer, but no brand.
Yep.
And we have our Clean Life and Clean Life Medical for all the hygiene stuff. And then we've got Gravity Wipes, which is all the functional everyday stuff in industry, paint wipes, tradie wipes, etc., pet wipes. And then we've got that end-to-end offering.
Yeah, and the Clean Life Medical carries or gives credibility to the Clean Life range as well, which is perfect.
TJ listed products here that are manufactured here, then the quality exists for everything else we're doing.
You know, it's really a case, I suppose, of we're moving into a new work environment, but a new focus for the business. And for the majority of people involved, this is a completely new world for them.
The dirty nature of how things are produced in a paint and industrial chemical type manufacturing is something we won't see again. It's a crazy situation to go from the way things were produced to the way we're about to do it. We're never going to see anything like that ever again.
We're very lucky to live in Australia, but it's also very hard for Australian manufacturers that are labour intensive to compete on a world scale.
It does seem like Phil has a very compelling case where he's manufacturing products in Australia that otherwise would be manufactured overseas. He's making his own significant investment with personal money and he's creating jobs in Adelaide.
Phil has to have constant video calls with the machine manufacturers in Italy.
Within the end of this week, sending also information about all quantity requested for FMCG possible.
Yeah, because we need to get the carton manufacturer to make it, and then there's the transit time to Italy.
Yeah, we're pushing it out.
Thank you. I think there's like 4 40-foot containers of this to get it over here, so it's a massive. There's a bit of a logistic issue to coordinate all that. So once we've got those dates, we can start booking vessels and containers, and like I said, the tyranny distance. But we've done this deal throughout. Just the way how it is, so you can't stop over COVID. You just got to keep the show moving along. But we just want to get this thing here so we can get these out there. You know, it's that's the frustration. But yeah, all part of the learning curve. All part of the learning curve.
Phil started this business in the COVID environment, so he knows exactly what he's getting himself into. He knew commissioning this machine in Italy, it might be delayed, he might not be able to get people over there as soon as he'd like to, which isn't great for someone like Phil who's constantly on the move, having to wait for an outcome.
For South Australia, to reclaim some of its manufacturing capacity, of which many would remember in years gone past, we were a manufacturing powerhouse. This is what the Hygiene Co is doing. They're re-establishing the manufacturing roots of South Australia right here.
We're up against some of the mega global monsters that we've seen in the past. I talk about Dettol. I said, like, when I was a kid, that was the only brand I still remember my mum would have in the cupboard and come home from school or wherever we were doing out there in the backyard getting hurt, and that was the first thing that came out, and it stays true. And I'm thinking, shit, we're competing against brands like that now. But I'm always sort of attracted to the SLINGSHOT, like the David and Goliath. It's my favourite story.
The certified approval from the Therapeutic Goods Administration has finally arrived. They are now TGA approved. Phil and Corey announced the Hygiene Co's vision and purpose to the team.
And Clinell's, the biggest brand in the market, medical-wise, UK-based, but made in China.
That COVID was a real kickstarter. So certainly in the healthcare space, there were customers left high and dry when COVID hit, when stock from China went north instead of south.
It's almost daily now that we're seeing situations for us as a business, not just with opportunity, but how we can really stamp our mark, and there is no blueprint of how other companies have done what we're doing.
Clean Life's almost starting from scratch again for him as a brand. So he's taking a lot of experience in business, people, product, over to Clean Life. So yeah, I think it's just the beginning, really.
So it was a major issue during COVID with shortages, and it exposed the sovereign capabilities of Australia. And we've got products that we're relying on coming in shipping containers here. It's a bloody hard job to do what we're doing, but you've just got to go and do it. Until it's been done, it's a dumb idea.
The pandemic, of course, apart from creating this business in some way, has also really put the spotlight on Australian-made. A lot of people are really focused on that now.
So these are really basic, everyday products that were being sourced from all over the world other than Australia.
I'd say the biggest risk is ensuring that the market he's targeting are open to new suppliers. Typically, large customers have quite stringent and lengthy decision-making processes to take on new suppliers.
And that's where this document, Andrew, I really think, we turn that into a brochure. Like, that might be now, brochure we've got, or what they're going to be, the canisters and sprays, and the wet wipe part. We might have, March 2022.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
We might start to find that we're sort of tapping into those that go, okay, this is a local one, let's support it, and then this is what's coming. So they know we're not some sort of just gap filler. We're here for the long game with this investment and what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's our unique value proposition, is that we'll be Australian made. So that really is pretty much the difference that we can see between our competitors. Everybody makes wet wipes, everybody makes hand sanitizer. We hear it all the time. Everyone makes hand sanitizer and there's a glut. That's not our primary focus. Our primary focus is really the wet wipe element and sanitising, disinfecting.
The first of the 3 machines has just arrived from overseas. The goal is to have the entire plant fully operational by March 2022. The time is ticking.
The sort of skills required to get this facility up and running, ongoing in terms of the quality assurance and the quality control part of the operation.
Saying that the next signal is not ready?
I don't know. It's a brand new shiny machine, and it's not working the way the instructions tell us to.
Technicians that are savvy with the electronic wizardry, I guess, that's behind all this stuff, because it's largely going to be computer-driven technology.
You've got your number of wipes versus your amount left in the buffer tank.
That's how you want to
try and optimise that.
I don't know how you do that. We never get that right.
So we're now talking to consulting the guy that we had that conversation with. He's going to help us with the planning out on all the mixing processes, obviously helping what all the quality side is for you and the waste management, which is key for us to understand what that is.
You want to clean everything in one hit. You want to clean your tank, your line and your buffer tank. As part of that cost, you'd have your network of lines connecting all the tanks, and you would have spray balls in all the tanks, and you'd have automated valves, right?
But we could pipe to that across the wall.
I could run something across the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be stainless steel.
No, it could be PVC.
Yeah,
PVC.
that's all it is.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Just a...
How much will Veolia charging you?
I don't want to fucking talk about it.
No, mate, because it's...
I've got to bought 2 of your vehicles out there with a lot of chat.
Gee, what vehicle have you got?
Well, I bought that second hand.
All right, well, 2 brand new ones for you, mate.
This is not a new dress. I've had it for months.
Christ.
Well, annually it was a joke.
It's a big step from an idea to execution. So there's a whole lot of series of decisions that you need to make in order to sell one business and establish a new one.
Having all the experience that I've acquired over the 30 years in business, there's that belief that we've made this work under a lot tougher circumstances than what where we're getting to now. And when I have these chats with Corey, we're sort of on the same path. We're talking like a couple 20-year-olds couldn't be doing this.
For me, some of the experiences that are really important to the success of this project are testing of the products and getting independent feedback.
The early focus was really just on the liquids that was going to be used to impregnate the wipes. Then as we've gone through this process and had the external laboratory testing, the realisation that the wipes themselves are obviously playing a significant part. So we knew up front that different fabrics absorb the actives at different rates, and that was one thing. But we've learned very quickly that the fabric plays maybe even half the role in terms of removing pathogens from a surface. But also, as you're doing now, is the compostability.
Yeah. There is no medical compostable wipe that we're seeing out there, and the medical industry is under fire with the whole impact on plastics and waste. How do we play our part to try? Because if we can get that there and have a compostable wipe that the medical sector can use, that is really a major point of difference over everything else we've been talking about: imports, price, availability, accessibility, but the compostable piece.
Australia's healthcare uses over 5 million kilograms of plastic each year in wet wipes, almost all from China. They use at least 300,000 wipes an hour, and that's all pieces of plastic.
The exciting thing for us now is the innovation side, where you've got a compostable wipe, which we've got now a flushable technology there, and that'll start to break down under flushing conditions. Whereas you can see how that's murking up, where that will stay like that. That's the exciting part, is that now, if I just grab that one, that'll just sink, and then they'll end up blocking a drain, whereas this won't. And we've got to have an open-minded approach in this country. You put a plastic or a non-plastic wipe down a drain, it's likely to block. But if it's flushable technology, there's no difference to this to toilet paper. Then this is an ideal technology for things like personal hygiene, and that's really where we're heading.
75% of an imported wet wipe pack is water. We are shipping water around the world, which is the same as importing backyard swimming pools actually filled with water.
The fact that 75% of a packet of wet wipes is liquid, mostly water. I mean, what the hell are we doing importing these? It's crazy. And 96% of wipes on the supermarket shelf are imported.
And the carbon generated just in that process, and it's the carbon that impacts climate change.
There is a 53% carbon reduction of locally made wipes just on the shipping alone.
He sees it as an injustice that products like this are made overseas and done cheaply when they could be done in Australia and in Adelaide in particular. And there are big businesses and big government departments using those products and not probably giving it enough thought about whether there is a local alternative.
The fabric cutting machine has arrived, the second of the 3 to be fully operational.
Oh, this is the blade that we use to push down the fabrics. So on the back here, we push.
All right.
You'll see.
The important part here is the state government departments, the state government agencies actually have the procurement processes so they can and they do and they're measured against buying locally from local manufacturers.
I almost would like to take people back into that desperation era, and I remember those Zoom calls during COVID with some of these government bodies. I would hope that we would get the support that's required. We've had it from industry, which has sort of given us that faith. the guys from Chemist Warehouse that we could go over.
Chemist Warehouse in particular.
They've been
supportive.
You know, but shit, our ride would have been a lot smoother if we'd had government that just would have said, yep, okay, you guys have done it now, give us a price. When I look at what I was competing against before, it's nothing on this scale now. But the David and Goliath thing I keep talking about to everybody, and that's how it's actually our opportunity. The big corporates are always going to be there. We just got to sort of be hardened up and run our race.
We need to get this right first time. Phil already understands that, so he's already bringing in the experience from existing industries, and we try to learn from those. And we reach out. We're members with Business SA, so we're already connecting through and talking to people there.
The mega trend associated with sustainability is impacting every business in Australia, and there are very good reasons for it. One, it's what customers want. It's what stakeholders want. It's what financiers, insurance, it's what everybody wants. But also, trust and quality are absolute key tenets of being successful in business.
Not to go into it in detail, but there's been a lot of recalls that I've seen, especially in the US, where hand sanitisers have not had the appropriate amount of alcohol, or they've even had methanol in there instead of either ethanol or isopropanol. And businesses like ours, where we're going through the whole quality approach, hopefully are providing a better, more sustainable product for the end consumer.
There's a big focus on the environmental. Is this going to contribute to land waste? But people need to understand this is a health issue.
Exactly.
The main message we're putting out is that we're going to deliver quality hygiene when people need it most. And we're delivering that when they need it most because we don't know when another outbreak's going to happen.
More painstaking delays on the wet wipe packaging machine's arrival. The plant will not be fully operational without it.
We're sitting around these boardroom tables talking with the key people in the country. And in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking, how long is this machine going to take to be able to just, here's a pack and take it instead of here's a mock-up of a pack to look at. That's been the frustration.
Yeah, getting a sponge with a pretend wrapper around it just only works for so long with major retailers.
I want to pull that wipe out and do that water shake up, and here it is, and off you go. How many pellets would you like? That's the issue. But, it will be forgotten, but doesn't take away the pain, the frustration. If I look back when I was 23, when I started with Gripset, the path ahead was like it was a dirt road, but it's pavement now, and you know exactly where it is, and you can see the runway. But we want to produce a showcase here that clients can come here, and we show them exactly like what goes into our laboratories with testing, the development, the quality control testing, the procedures, the processes, how it's manufactured, how we source our products, how we test all the raws, and what comes off the production line.
Your thinking and my thinking is, and obviously the machine delays and stuff have screwed us in a few areas, but it's only when will we make this work, which is great.
Yeah. We're in the process of setting our values for this business now, investing time, because it's important for me that it doesn't come from me and Corey. It comes from the team. Like, they've got to own this.
Quality?
That was the number one thing. I think quality was the word I was looking for. Because if we can't deliver quality, repeatable quality, we are not going to be a serious player.
Trust Clean Life, Australian-made quality.
The delays in getting the machine is almost 8 months late.
If we didn't have COVID, we would have picked up the phone and jumped on a plane and said, "Where is my goddamn machine?" But everyone becomes understanding with COVID. There's nothing you can do.
It's a bloody good excuse. Yeah. We had Gavin over in Italy for sort of 5.5 weeks, and there were a lot of worse places we could have sent him.
I was going to say, and Gav's eating gnocchi and dessert every day.
Learned to drink really good red wine.
Rosso.
And he came back learning how to speak a bit of Italian.
Yeah, exactly.
But the biggest issues were the frustrations, and his frustration was there that he couldn't do anything. We'd hook up daily, and there was one day where he sort of was morning for him, night here, and he had a pack. He said, "Phil, this is the first pack off the line that we've made," which was great to see. And then we started to get all excited and talking to our customers, going, "It's not far now, but shit, it was still 5 months ago, and that was the hard part. I'm not sure what you guys are thinking from what success is going to be, but
I'd be pretty happy if the Royal Adelaide decided, yep, tick, we'll put at least one product in. To me, that would be...
Pissed off if the Royal Adelaide didn't put it in, and we're here in Adelaide manufacturing, but, that's the first of them.
a constant evolution, a constant push to put new products out is success. I think a growing social media base is success. I think
repeat buyers,
repeat loyalty buyers is success. And I think that if we can then merge our way to have a name where we can create a product that wasn't directly in the exact line of wipes and stuff and have people say, yeah, we trust it to clean life, I think that's another form of success that's going to be massive.
Yeah.
At long last, the main packaging machine has arrived. It has held back the entire operation. The team are eager to get it unloaded, installed and up and running.
I'm very proud that I have the opportunity to get a bright, shiny plant with all the latest tech that will produce something that's never been seen before. This is going to be really good.
So I can't wait to bring the major clients, especially, into the factory and show them what we've been talking about for, well over 12 months to them.
And show them here's full automation, here's the idea that the concept now, it's a real product come off the line and it's ready, you've got it.
Come and have a look, get on board.
I think one of the things Phil's done best over this journey is he's just committed to it. He's going all the way, he's backing himself.
Manufacturing had been just a dirty word in this state in Australia, but COVID and Industry 4.0 and automation now is in play, and we've got something that really excites people, and we're a manufacturer that I believe will count.
Phil and Corey are creative entrepreneurs. They're looking for new solutions. That's exactly what they've done. I mean, they've really done the grand pivot over the last 12 months. So to any entrepreneur, be creative, be bold, be brave, and ask for help.
Phil's a proven entrepreneur, a proven employer of people, a proven business grower.
The team are really proud that they actually can go home and tell their friends and family that they are part of an Australian manufacturer. I can see that pride in them.
Bella, bella, bella. Stupefacente.
People get blown away with this story, they sort of question me and go, what, you were making waterproofing products a year ago and now you're making medical products, how does that work? Well,
what you've achieved
can work.
Pretty amazing in that regard.
Well, we've achieved it, mate.